David Keith Lynch, Missoula, Montana's most famous son. He's been trending as of late, probably due to his recent birthday, so I thought I'd look back at one of his lesser known modes of expression, his paintings, and highlighting he was a lot more than just an American Dad voice actor, but he was a lot of things like an enigma of sorts.
Ridey horsey up and down. Watch out, little boy, don't fall down. I love you, Cleveland.
I love you too, Dad.
Number 9, Six Men Getting Sick. Now, I didn't want to start in chronological order, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Self described as 57 seconds of growth and fire and 3 seconds of vomit, this animation, made during his second year at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, was his goal to make paintings move. He's quoted saying, "I was painting very dark paintings, and I saw some little part of this figure moving, and I heard a wind, and I really wanted these things to move and have a sound with them. And so I started making an animated film as a moving painting, and that was it." Hey, goddammit, this guy would have loved Redline. It starts out in a blank eggshell background, and then these 6 heads pop up out of nowhere, like the Octomom, and then we start seeing their organs being connected. I think their stomachs. Then we see their horrified gasp and patches of red, and they start to internally bleed, and there's that throw up he was talking about. Very well made, uh, interesting visual. Number 8, Man on Wire. This one stands out for a lot of reasons, but my first reaction is it reminded me of this image here. And I know what you're probably thinking. Hey, this isn't a painting, this is a photograph. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Number 9 was an animation. Punk. Anywho, I like how the figure's head looks like chewed gum, and his fingers, they look like the backs of potato wedges, and he has some more chewed gum in his hand, kind of fashioned like Iron Man's hand. And in the background, we have 3 smokestacks very far away, and a federal looking building with some cool shadows there. And I love how much gray this has in it. Gray everywhere. It's made in 1998. I think it's clear he took inspiration from Eraserhead, as it's strongly reminiscent of the look and feel of that movie. However, it's unclear if it takes inspiration from Don John actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt's hit movie, Man on Wire. Number 7, he has his tools and his chemicals. Painted in 2013 using watercolors, our first actual painting of the list consists of a 2-panel comic strip type painting with 2 odd figures, one with a hammer and saw, and in the second panel, what we presume to be chemicals, and a man turned into a long body of 2 arms, you could presume, with the words, "I feel it" at the bottom. I love the shade of red on the carpet or floor area, and there's a nice sandy off-white background wall. Now, full disclosure, I am usually not at all a fan of writing in paintings, especially if it feels like they are just spoon feeding us a theme or message. It all feels too simple. Painting should be looking at shapes and colors form into something new for us to interpret or create emotional inferences, and making a clear point sometimes hurts it. But in this case, I don't mind it. Some of that also might be the font. David Lynch has a reoccurring font and style with his writing that a lot of spaces in it, which has a lot of spaces in it. Jeez. And I think it adds to it rather than distracting or taking away. I always feel like the distortion of water used in paintings is pretty awesome. I think it creates neat colors and shapes, but I'm not here to interpret what the painting or any painting means. I can give my opinion and what I appreciate, but I make no means to know an artist's true intent or message. And even if I did, it would be purely speculative and made up. Anywhom, we all have our tools, which we need. I need my tools, and maybe so with chemicals. Number six, unknown. The name of number six is unknown, along with when it was painted, a complete mystery we will never discover. This one, right off the bat, looks like a pair of closed eyes and a nose leading down to the earth. You can piece together a face in there. It reminds me of Wally, or maybe Hammerhead Sharks, or maybe Squeegees, or something like that. Anywhom, in the center of the face, we see these tiny plastic soldiers. It looks like of every color mended together, and then a big shadow behind, big blue shadow behind with a big giant X, and then to the right of that looks like a faint red cross and a question mark surrounded by a dotted perimeter and the letter N at the bottom near the base of the mountain. We have a lot of letters all over the place, as well as a nice blue half circle above the face with seven pearls in the eyes. They remind me of beluga whale eyes. This painting has many great shades of brown and navy blue, and there are a lot of details you can scan whenever you look at this. Good shit. Number five, Untitled. This one is a twofer for the price of one because I believe in never skimping the audience, having the highest artistic standards for output. The first Untitled was made any time between 1965 and 1969 and has a figure centrally in black and white. At first, I thought this part was the left arm holding up a phone taking a selfie, which would have been neat for the late 60s, but not so fast. Look at it closely. This figure doesn't appear to have a left arm. Look at that hole. Matter of fact, it looks like it has no limbs, a quadruple amputee with this little disco ball near where its right arm would be. And if we look at its bald head, it looks like it has a glass dome surrounding it with a metal mouthpiece or something like that, and some other weird earpieces connected. Who knows? There's also all types of shadows all over, and it creates an interesting effect. For the second Untitled, made in 1970, we see a pencil and pen drawing of an also limbless being, this one looking far less human, maybe some type of baby goat or porpoise or something like that, lying down on its backside, supine, with a nice pillow under its head. This one might quietly be my favorite among the entire lot. I love seeing all the line work in the face and the back, but also seeing the pen sketches in the black region above it. I love noticing all the tiny details, and also wouldn't be surprised if this one was the inspiration to make Eraserhead. I mean, look at that disgusting baby. Spoiler alert. Number 4, Untitled. Oh, have you been fooled again? You thought there would be no more untitled paintings. Now look at you, completely duped and led astray like a lost child in the Walmart aisle. Anywhom, lay your eyes upon this visual feast. A fairly larger oil painting on canvas. This one is very beautiful, but also harder to find detailed information on. We see a maroon outline with an asphalt color background, leading to two odd face shapes on a yellow green field below it. And if you look above, there are 21 cigarette butts nicely placed in a 3 by 7 pattern in the top of the painting. This one is pretty indescribable, but very interesting to look at. So I'm just going to leave it here for you to admire and put something on in the background.
Gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party, it ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta party. Nothing but a gangsta party. It ain't nothing but a Fortnite gangsta.
Number 3, Untitled. Another large oil painted untitled canvas made at an unknown time. This one has a navy outline with another dark background with the top looking like a starry night with 11 slender gold spikes coming out of what looks like a tall 3 dimensional cylindrical object with an image coming out of it, if you can believe that. The image is a figure with a bluish face in the middle with an indeterminate expression and an olive green shirt, or maybe a full body tattoo that is olive green with a white background with red dots all in it. Based on this face, I can see the Francis Bacon influence from Lynch, as this is a bacon face if I ever saw one, reminiscent of his paintings, Head Surrounded by Beef, or Study for a Head. We then see a bright yellow Simpson colored hand reaching out and touch what we presume to be a screen with this figure still in it, as we see this hazy translucent arm connected to, you're never gonna believe this, his head, which looks like a fucking watermelon. Or at least from behind, it could be his haircut or special kind of hat. Another great visual feast. Makes you realize this guy was way more than just some measly actor in a TV show. Number 2, a figure witnessing the orchestration of time. Now, when it comes to different aspects of a painting, one that always intrigues me is textural depth. And this is a visual cornucopia of that. We see a lone figure, we presume, amongst a dark, oily backdrop. And right off the bat, we notice two things. We notice a large nose and a large ass. A complete dump truck being illuminated by a lone light source to the right side of the painting. There is a faint trace of a white fence behind the figure, and that makes it seem as if this is outside and it's nighttime and this light source could perhaps be the moonlight. The very bottom of the painting does have a very dark horizontal line with bright highlights, making it appear to be a body of water, likely a river. Check the last video. Beneath the figure, this painting is absolutely filled with ridges and grooves, and it makes you imagine being incredibly high and rubbing it and feeling the intricate cold details like it was a topography map. There are lots of great shades of color in this painting too, and it doesn't at all feel like it's monochromatic. There's great bronzes and sand color and dark charcoals. I bet it is a real treat to see in person, and it's also the coolest name piece. Number one. Okay, I can dream, right? There are many great options that could have took top spot, and I will try to spend a lot of time showing the ones that could have made it but didn't, and talk really slow. And if you see one or two or three or four that you love, you should look them up and find them and look at them and look at other art and say, wow, that looks pretty cool. And then make some of your own if you feel like it. But now it's time for the top spot. And look at this beauty. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me is how perfectly set up everything is. A mark of a good painting is you can look away out of your peripheral vision and still see a striking image. And this passed the test for me. The shade of sky blue, the TV static haze floor design, the color and shape of the yellow sofa along with its shadow, and of course, the composition. A figure lying on its back, which we assume is the divine feminine form, as we see some huge knockers and some bean flicking, perhaps? Possibly a small penis. Beside a bright pink rotary phone, and we see its face, which kind of reminds me of the animated bear from the Gummy Bear song. It's interesting too because the name of the painting is Okay, I Can Dream, right? But the dialogue above the figure says, well, I can dream, can I? It begs the question, was this an accidental mix-up or an intentional switch-up? And for what reason? All we can do is speculate while we sit back and appreciate this beautiful work of art by the great Montanan artist David Keith Lynch.